Hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space and another Halloween card. I was 100% channeling Nichol Spore when I was making this one. I haven't had a chance to watch much of her videos lately, but one of the ones she did recently popped up in my feed, and it obviously was sitting in the back of my mind the whole time I was creating this. If you're not already subscribed to her, I highly recommend. She's a phenomenal card maker, and the way she combines and makes little scenes and combines like bunches of stamps and dies and all the things to create them, just lovely. Absolutely lovely. And her Halloween makes, always some of my favorites. So yeah, definitely channeling her. I pulled a whole bunch of different die sets to make my card. Most of them oldie but goodie favorites. One in particular that I have done many videos on, and that's the Simon Says Stamp Mushroom Stems. I will have a link at the end of this video to my playlist where I've got over a dozen videos, I think well over a dozen videos I've done using that die set. And then, of course, I'll also have a link to my Halloween playlist. That'll be in the end screen as well, and I'll keep adding to it as I make more cards. And last but not least, everything I used is listed and linked in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links, end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. So it helps pay the bills, keeps the channel going, and that's it. Let's get into making this card. I started with my background. Well, first I die cut most of my pieces from smooth white cardstock, and then also you can see the little ghosties in the top corner there that I die cut from vellum, and then I've got some black glitter die cut bats. Those will come later. So I had done all my die cutting off screen because it's redundant, and then I've got an A2 size panel of just the same smooth white cardstock, and I'm going to use the Night Sky Wafer die set, which came out long time ago. It's another oldie but goodie. I wanted to use this little partial moon die cut, and then as I was planning out this this scene, I was like, this, you kind of don't need to do this, you can just skip this part. But I was all over the place because I was like, so I grabbed just a little piece of masking paper and I die cut the little moon from that. And then I'm going to peel off the backing and then stick that mask to the background. So, yeah, like I said, you can skip the step. I ended up choosing to end up using the die cut on top of it anyway, so the masking was kind of irrelevant, but it's how you can create your own little masks with your die cuts. And I'll have a link to that masking paper. It comes in full sheets. I haven't used my masking paper in forever. This stuff is great. So anyway, I masked off that little moon. And then I'm using Oxide inks to blend my background. And I started with Shaded Lilac, which does not look like that because my brush has a very dark purple still in it. But I just wanted a lighter shade, so is what it is. You can see there's that does not look like Shaded Lilac because I'm pretty sure the last time I used this brush it was with Villainous Potion. So there's some heavily dark purple in there, which is fine. I just wanted something lighter where the moon's going to be. And then I'm going in with much darker shades. I used Uncharted Mariner and then Chipped Sapphire and then of course Villainous Potion. Not doing a perfect blend here because I'm going to be adding Splatter and all the die cuts on top, everything. So this does not need to be perfect at all, which is so nice. Sometimes don't worry about it. It ends up coming together in the end. So blended on the Villainous Potion, and then I brought in just a bit of black soot that just, deepens up the edges, and I love black soot. It's just perfect. So added a bit of that. Everything looks like a hot mess, but it's all good. I removed the mask. It's all nice and crisp, but like I said, I'm going to add the die cut on top of it, so it was kind of irrelevant. Sprayed everything with water. I just let it sit for not even a minute, and it's just fun when I was editing to see how it just automatically transformed and you could see the water droplets as they just soaked into the cardstock. Love it. So I'd add the bit of water, And then I'm going to put this into my splat box and add a healthy dose of splatter, of course. And I'm going to use the Spellbinders Splatter White Opaque Watercolor. I've been using this since I got it. I forget when I bought this. A month or two ago? However long it's been. My sense of time is completely out the door. But I've really been enjoying this. It works really well. So I put a little bit on my palette, added a bit of water to thin it out, and then just using my little fan brush, added, like I said, a healthy dose of splatter to this background. Just like so. Love. So added all of that. And then I'm going to start adding color to my die cuts. So I grabbed one of my grip mats and stuck the die cuts to that. And then I'm going to use more Oxide inks and my little pint size paper pouncers from Picket Fence to add the ink. And the same thing. This little yellow pouncer had, again, a healthy dose of ink in it, which I'm pretty sure was mustard seed, because mustard seed is another just very powerful color. So I was using that with a bit of old paper. I got some of the mustard seed in the old paper ink. Not a big deal. I just swiped the ink pad onto a little bit of paper towel. It's fine. So I added those two colors. Mustard seed mixed with old paper. I like that combo. So I added that to my little moon piece. And then for the greenery, I was using peeled paint and Rustic Wilderness and just pouncing that ink on there. Quick and simple. Love. Again, it's been a while since I've used my paper pouncers and my Oxide, really playing around with my Oxide inks. And this just making this card reminded me how much I love doing this, because it's just fun. So I ended up die cutting some of the scrap cardstock with that. This was the arching leaf border. That was the big piece. And then these little pieces are from that same die set. I've used this die set in previous videos, like the individual pieces. I just hadn't used that large arching leaf border, which fully covers, an A2 card, which I love. So added those inks, set those pieces aside, and then I got to my mushrooms, which I die cut a couple times. And then for the undersides and the stems, I'm using the old paper ink. And again, there's still some mustard seed on my little pouncer. I'm okay with that. And actually with these, it created this really weird color. I love it, especially for Halloween cards. It almost looks glow in the dark, that color in the end, which I'm here for it. So yeah, if you mix old paper and mustard seed, you get kind of like a glow in the dark sort of a color, which is really fun. I'm loving it. So did that for the undersides and the stems. And then for the mushroom caps, I started with Wild Honey. And then I went in with Rusty Hinge. And with all of this, I'm not going for a perfect, smooth coverage. That's also why I purposely chose using my pouncers. Although you can get smooth color coverage with these, but I didn't want that. I want texture. I want bits of color. So I'm going in now with Crackling Campfire, which is another very intense color. So I was using a very light hand because I just wanted a little bit of that. And I was going to stop here. But after I took all the pieces off the grip mat, I just kept thinking. So I have this little storage sleeve. I'll link them. These are the same storage sleeves I store a lot of my stamps, dies, random things in. But I keep one to do smushing. I don't always do this, but this, especially if you like more control. So I smush my ink pad onto that, spray it with water, and then I can, selectively add it where I want on my backgrounds, die cuts, whatever. And for that, I used T-dye Oxide ink and had smushed just a little bit and then sprayed it with a bit of water. And then now I'm adding those to the stems and the underside. So I'm getting these splotchy bits with that T-dye color, which again, it just gives it texture and fun things. So added all of that. And then for the mushroom caps, I'm going to use just the Crackling Campfire again. So added my splotchy bits to the stems and the undersides. And then I'll just wipe off this little storage sleeve. Any sort of clear piece of packaging will generally work too. Again, it's been a while since I've done this. And then it's I was just kind of pulling out all the little old tricks and techniques and things that I've done in the past that I forget about half the time. So for this one, I did the Crackling Campfire. I used my paper towel to kind of soak up some of the excess because I didn't want big blobs of, ink or color or anything like that, because these are, smaller die cut pieces. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to like press and dot these all along these little mushroom caps to create that like splotchy texture. And again, it's fun. Doing it this way too, it's a little less messy. I honestly don't care. Like, yeah, my nails aren't painted. I haven't had time. My nails are naked. It's driving me nuts. But they were looking fine, but now they're like stained yellow from the mustard seed ink. Again, a few hand washings and they'll be fine. But I don't mind getting my hands inky, but if you like doing ink smushing but really don't like getting like messy, doing it with like a piece of packaging or a storage sleeve like this is a nice way to get that effect and less on your hands. But again, this is all water-based stuff. Like it does wash off. It might take a bit depending, you know, mostly depending on the color. So anyway, did all my smushing, let everything dry, assembled my little mushrooms just like so. Super simple, like no thought needed whatsoever. You just stick on the stem, pop on the little mushroom cap, and then you got your little mushrooms. And I purposely went with like these bright orangey colors and whatnot so that they'll stand out a lot against that much darker background. So after I had all of my little mushrooms assembled, I'm then going to start like putting together my little scene. So my background and all that splatter, etc., was completely dry. So I'm going to adhere that little moon that I had smushed the ink onto. So this is what I mean by I didn't need to like mask that in the beginning technically, but is what it is. And then adhere all of these little elements with just craft tacky glue. So just dotting it along the back. I tucked that large mushroom kind of in amongst all of this greenery. So I adhered it all at once. Flip that over and then starting the scene. And this is where it all starts like coming together. And I was like, yay, this was fun. So I've got my little ghosties, this another oldie but goodie set that I've used a bajillion times over the years. This is the Friendly Ghost Wafer die, and I die cut it from vellum. So I strategically kind of tucked them amongst the mushrooms so I could hide the adhesive because otherwise the glue would show. So stuck a couple behind those little mushrooms there and then adhered the other mushrooms into place. The bats are one of the newer die sets. This is the Bat Trio wafer dies that I've already used in at least a couple videos so far. And those I die cut from some tonic black glitter cardstock, but I'm not going to adhere those just yet. I wanted to add more splatter. So I pulled out the Distress Mica Stain in Decayed, which is like this greeny gold color. I haven't used these yet this year. These are a seasonal release, but Simon's the Stamp just carries them all year round. And I used them a ton last year and the year before, and I think the year before that. I forget how many years these mica stains have been out. They're so much fun. So I shook it up really, really well, put some on my palette, and then just used my fan brush to add the splatter to this card front. And I'll show at the end. I'll kind of try and show with my flashlight. It is hard to show the shimmer since I added it with the fan brush, so it's kind of a light splatter. But in real life, yeah, you can see that like goldy, greeny. It's like a green gold. It's gorgeous all over the background. Love. So let all that dry as well, which only took a couple minutes. Flipped over the background, trimmed off the little bits that were hanging off the edge. And then I'm going to adhere my little bats, which, yeah, I die cut from the tonic. I think it's just called Black Sapphire. Is that what they call it? Gotta scroll through here. Yeah, Black Sapphire glitter cardstock. This is like one of my favorite black glitter cardstocks because it's just, again, fabulous and glittery and perfect for Halloween cards. So adhered several of those into place and then just snipped down one of them and just adhered part of it just because. And then yet another oldie but goodie. This is the Reverse Spooky Salutations Sentiment Strips. I have repurchased these more than once. They've been out for, again, I don't know how many years. And I trimmed down the sentiments I wanted to use. I just did that with my paper trimmer. And then for this one, I took just a black marker. Any black marker will work for this. And edged the sentiment strip with the black marker. So it just covers that exposed white cardstock edge. It makes everything look a little more seamless. And then I'm going to pop that into place with some little foam squares. And then my card base is a top folding A2 white note card. And I've got some extra little die cuts left over, so I'm just going to adhere those to the inside of my card. So kind of creating just a little mini scene with everything I had left. So I had die cut an extra moon because I had, a scrap of cardstock and had added the ink to that. My 2 little remaining mushrooms, that little piece of greenery, that little vellum ghosty, and then the remaining bats, even that one that I trimmed off, I was like, stick that to the side, we're good. So once all those little pieces were adhered, I just adhered another one of those reverse spooky salutations sentiment strips. This one's one of my favorites. It says, "I'm just here for the booze." So I adhered that, and then I adhered my card front. And then as my final little embellishment, I have, again, because I've used these just in a previous video as well, the Trinity Stamps gold star embellishments. Couldn't resist adding those because stars in the background, and they're also kind of holographic, which is super fun. So I just kind of sprinkled these all over the background, and then when I was kind of happy with where most of them were placed, I'm going to just pick them up with my little embellishment wand and adhere them into place with little dabs of glue, and that's it. Super fun, super easy. And we got splatter and glitter and shimmer and the mushrooms and my little ghosties and glitter bats and all the things. All the things. Love it. So like I mentioned in the intro, I'll have links to all of it in the description box below. I'm going to attempt to show the sparkle. It'll pick up like on the bats and the stars and stuff, but that mica stain, it was difficult to show on this card, but it is so pretty. So pretty. So you can kind of see it there, just barely. But yeah, the bats are glittery and the stars, and my camera was like, why? Why do you try doing this? Anyway, love it. Super fun. So yeah, links will be below. Like I also mentioned in the intro, I'll have the playlist I've done using those little mushroom dies. That will be in the end screen, as well as my Halloween 2024 playlist. That'll be linked in the end screen as well for anyone who is interested and wants to check that out. They'll be there. Thank you all so very much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping and commenting. That really helps a ton. It just tells the robot overlords you like what you see, and I very much appreciate it. So thumbs up, comment, subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in supporting me over on Patreon, the link to that is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye.